The lesson my grandmother taught me right before she passed taught me the most important lesson of my life. It wasn't what I expected to hear from someone facing death, and it completely changed how I see everything. Hi, I'm Sarah. This is the story of my grandmother's final gift, a lesson that saved me from wasting my life. My grandmother, Clara, was 91 when she got the diagnosis: pancreatic cancer. The doctors said she had weeks, maybe a month. But Clara wasn't the type to lie in bed feeling sorry for herself. Even facing death, she was more concerned about everyone else. Are you eating enough? How's work? When are you going to find a nice boy? The same questions she'd ask my entire life. I thought I was visiting to comfort her. I had no idea she was preparing to give me the wake-up call I desperately needed. Because the truth was, at 34, I was completely lost. I was stuck in a job I hated, working 60-hour weeks for a boss who didn't appreciate me. I lived in a tiny apartment I could barely afford, eating takeout most nights because I was too exhausted to cook. My social life consisted of scrolling through other people's highlight reels on Instagram, feeling like everyone else had figured out happiness except me. I hadn't been on a real date in 2 years. My savings account was embarrassing. I felt like I was sleepwalking through my own life. But I put on a brave face for Grandma Clara. Everything's great, I'd tell her. Work's busy, but good. I'm fine, really. She would just nod and pat my hand. But I could see in her eyes, she knew I was lying. On that Tuesday afternoon, 3 days before she passed, something was different. Clara seemed more alert, more focused. She asked my mom and aunt to give us some alone time. "Sarah," she said, "sit closer. I need to tell you something important." "Darling," she began, "I'm going to tell you the biggest regret of my life, and I need you to promise me you won't make the same mistake." I leaned in, expecting her to talk about the past, maybe about Grandpa or some old family drama. Instead, she said, "I spent 40 years of my life waiting for permission to be happy." "What do you mean, Grandma?" "When I was your age, I wanted to be a teacher, but my mother said teaching wasn't practical, so I became a secretary and hated every day of it." I'd never heard this before. "I wanted to travel, but your grandfather said it was too expensive. I wanted to learn piano, but I thought I was too old. I wanted to wear bright colors, but I worried what people would think." Her voice got stronger as she continued. "I kept waiting for someone to give me permission to want what I wanted, to do what made me happy, to be who I really was." "But Grandma, you seemed so content." "Content isn't happy, Sarah. Content is settling. And I settled for content for 40 decades. She grabbed my hand with surprising strength. "Promise me you won't wait for permission. Promise me you'll stop apologizing for taking up space in this world." Then she said something that hit me like a punch to the stomach. "Sarah, you're doing the exact same thing I did.
I started to
You're
protest,
34
but she
and you're
held up her
still
hand.
waiting for someone
You
to
hate
tell
your
you
job,
it's
but you
okay
stay
to
because
want
it's
more."
responsible. You live in that awful apartment because you think you don't deserve better. You don't date because you've convinced yourself you're not ready yet. When will you be ready? When will you stop waiting? She was right, and it hurt to hear. I was living my life like I was rehearsing for the real thing. "The truth is," Clara continued, "nobody is coming to give you permission to be happy. Nobody is going to hand you the life you want. You have to take it." "But what if I make the wrong choice? What if I fail?" "Sweetheart, the only real failure is never trying. I'm 91 years old, and I can tell you, you don't regret the chances you took. You regret the ones you didn't take." Clara wasn't done. She reached into her nightstand drawer and pulled out a small notebook. "This is my list," she said, opening it to pages filled with her handwriting. "Every dream I postponed, every adventure I said someday to, every time I chose safe over sorry. The list was heartbreaking. Learn to paint, visit Ireland, wear a red dress, take a dance class, tell Margaret what I really think, plant a flower garden. Simple things, beautiful things, things she could have done but didn't. I don't want you to have a list like this, Sarah. I want you to have a life like this, she said, pointing to another page titled, What I Wish I'd Done. Here's what I want you to do. In the next 6 months, I want you to make one big scary change, something that scares you because it matters, something you've been waiting for permission to do. What if I don't know what that is? Oh, you know, she smiled. You've always known. You're just afraid to admit it. Clara passed away that Friday morning. At her funeral, I stood up and told everyone about our last conversation. I promised her, in front of our entire family, that I would not waste the life she never fully lived. 2 weeks later, I quit my job, not because I had another one lined up, but because I finally understood what Clara meant. I was choosing fear over faith every single day. I spent the next month really thinking about what I wanted, not what I thought I should want. I remembered that I always dreamed of starting a photography business. I'd been planning to do it for 5 years. I used my savings to buy professional equipment. I moved to a smaller, cheaper apartment that had amazing natural light for a home studio. I started taking portraits of families, couples, anyone who would let me practice. 6 months after Clara's challenge, I had 12 paying clients and more confidence than I had in years. But the changes went deeper than career. I stopped apologizing for wanting things. I bought bright clothes Clara would have loved. I took a pottery class just because it sounded fun. I said yes to a date with someone I met at a coffee shop. Most importantly, I stopped waiting. When I wanted to call someone, I called. When I wanted to try something new, I tried it. When I wanted to travel, I booked the trip. Clara's lesson wasn't just about being happy, it was about claiming my right to want happiness, to take up space, to stop living like I was apologizing for existing. If Clara were here today, she'd probably ask you the same question she asked me. What are you waiting for permission to do? What dream are you postponing? What life are you rehearsing for instead of living? Your grandmother, your mother, your friends, they can't give you permission to be happy. Only you can do that. And the beautiful thing is, you can start right now. Don't wait until you're 91 to realize you've been living someone else's definition of your life. Clara's gift to me was urgency. Time is limited. Dreams deferred too long become regrets. Make your own list. Not of things you wish you'd done, but of things you're going to do. Then start with one. Today. This is Sarah, living by Clara's lesson. Thanks for listening, and remember, you don't need permission to be happy.